I recently heard on a show, a guy said, it's a deal breaker if a woman doesn't have long term friends because it shows she can't foster meaningful relationships. And I have to say, I don't have long term friends, and I don't believe that means I can't build deep, healthy connections. Hi, I'm Miss T. Marie, mindset educator. Let's talk about it. When people talk about fostering relationships, they usually mean keeping the same circle for years and years. That's the golden standard for connection. But let's really think about it. Longevity doesn't automatically equal depth. Some people have had the same friends since high school, but that doesn't mean those friends are healthy or meaningful. It just means they never question if those relationships were actually aligned with the way they are today. Holding on to people just because they've been around the longest, that isn't always loyalty. Sometimes it's convenience. Sometimes it's out of fear of being alone. Sometimes it's performing stability because we think it makes us look more lovable or safe. But what about those friendships where you meet someone and within a month you've shared your deepest secrets? You feel seen, heard, and understood on a soul level, even if you've only known each other for a season. That's real connection. That's what fostering a relationship actually means. Tending to it, nurturing it, showing up with honesty and presence, not just clocking years. So when someone says it's a deal breaker if you don't have long term friends, what they're really saying is they value appearance over depth. And if depth is what you're after, that mindset might not even be for you. One thing we don't talk about enough is how personal growth naturally shifts our relationships. When we start evolving, working on our mindsets, healing old patterns, changing your habits, you don't just change your life. You change the energetic agreements you have with other people. Some friends are rooted in who you used to be, not who you're becoming. They might have been built on shared wounds, old coping mechanisms, or versions of you that played small just to keep the peace. And as you grow, you might start to feel like you don't fit in those dynamics anymore. You don't laugh at the same jokes. You don't want to spend hours gossiping or replaying old drama. You're not as available for relationships that keep you stuck in loops you're trying to break. Releasing those friendships doesn't mean you're disloyal or cold. It means you're finally choosing to honor yourself over comfort. You can thank these connections for what they taught you. You can hold gratitude for the moments that carry you through. And still, you can choose to move forward without them. Outgrowing people is not an act of betrayal, it's an act of self trust. You're trusting that the new version of you deserves relationships that match your energy, your vision, and your softness. Another thing people forget when they judge someone for not having long term friends is that not everyone has the same opportunities or circumstances to keep those connections alive. People move, people change cities, jobs, entire lifestyles. Some go through massive shifts in faith or values that make other relationships no longer feel safe or aligned. And let's be honest, a lot of us are moving through real mental health challenges right now. It might be something in the water, or maybe it's just the weight of the world we're carrying. But some people are struggling silently. When someone's mental health starts to decline, or they turn to substances to cope, it changes the dynamic of a friendship. As much as you want to support them, they have to want to heal. They have to choose to be better. You can't force someone out of their loops if they're not ready to leave it. As a friend, your role is to hold space, offer love and encouragement, but not to sacrifice your own stability trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for both of you is to step back, to create space for them to choose change on their own, and for you to continue protecting your own peace. Prioritizing your safety, your healing, or even your solitude before connecting isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. It's self-trust in action. A lot of people think that a friendship only has value if it lasts decades. But I truly believe people come to your life for seasons or a reason. Some of the most impactful connections I've had weren't ones that lasted the longest. They were ones that showed me a new part of myself, helped me pivot out of an old loop, or reminded me what it feels like to be fully seen. A deeply aligned 2-year friendship can shift your entire life more than a 20-year-old on paper friendship could ever. For me, what makes a friendship transformative isn't the timeline. It's the depth, the honesty, and the willingness to be vulnerable together. It's about being able to show up as your whole self without performing or shrinking. Today we live in a microwave society. Everyone wants things fast success, fast healing, fast relationships. We talk a lot about instant gratification. It's always a bad thing, but it doesn't have to be. Sometimes you meet someone who wants to dive deep right away. Someone who brings exactly what you needed in this season, whether it's adventure, softness, inspiration, or just a reminder that you're allowed to be more than your routines. That connection might only last a few months or a couple of years, and that doesn't make it any less real. In this season of my life, I choose to define quality relationships by how they make me feel in the present moment, not by how long I can keep them around. In short, soul nurturing can feed you more than a decade-long connection that stays surface level out of habit. If you've ever felt ashamed or less than because your friendships didn't last decades, I want you to know there's no badge for keeping relationships longer than they nourish you. You're allowed to release, to grow, and to cherish those seasons for what they were without carrying guilt. When someone says not having long-term friends is a deal breaker, what does that really say about them? Sometimes it's less about you and more about what they're afraid of. It might signal deep fears of abandonment. Maybe they believe that if you don't have a 10-year girl gang, you can't be trusted to stay with them either. They want external proof that you know how to hold on, so they don't have to face the vulnerability of building trust slowly and consistently. Other times, it might come from a need for external validation. Having someone with perfect social proof, a tight friend group, the big birthday dinners, making them feel safer, like they picked someone pre-approved by the world. It can also be about discomfort with change. Someone who needs you to have long-term connections might secretly crave predictability over everything else. But relationships, real living, functioning relationships, require flexibility. A healthy connection isn't about vetting someone's past and using it as a report card. It's about meeting each other in real time, co-creating trust, and choosing each other again and again. Instead of asking, how long have you kept your friends? The better question is, how do you show up in relationships today? What do you value in a connection right now? Because that's where the real truths lie. You're not unworthy just because your circle isn't a decade strong. You're allowed to evolve aloud, without apologies or explanations. Friends can look completely different at every stage of your life. Chosen family, online communities, those with seasoned soul connections that show up just when you need them. Sometimes we forget that friendships also require commitment, energy, and maintenance. And there are seasons in life when you might choose to pour your energy elsewhere. If you're in the season of deep personal growth or you're focused on building a relationship, that doesn't mean you're failing at friendship. It means you're honoring where your focus needs to be right now. Connection isn't only about how many people you keep around for how long. It's about how you show up to the relationships you choose today. You get to decide what friends look like for you, and you get to redefine it as many times as you need to. So the next time someone makes you feel small for not having a day one or a crew, remember your worth isn't measured in party invites, group chats, or highlight reels. It's measured in your integrity, your self-awareness, and your willingness to grow. Thank you for sitting with me today. You already know, subscribe, join my email. I don't play about you. I'll see you in the next one.